Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's good to see you. So, I want to talk some more about the geopolitical nature of Skyrim, the actual Skyrim, and I want to use Miss Brittany Hart Writing's video here as a jumping off point for this. The reason why is that this video has gone relatively viral on TikTok among my fellow Elder Scrolls nerds, and I wanted to give this the response it deserves. I have seen people speak about this video. I have not actually seen the video, so people are saying that she doesn't understand, she doesn't know what she's talking about. I'm going to just take it at face value, and we'll take it bit by bit as we go, shall we? Skyrim absolutely has pro-colonization themes. There really isn't any themes of anti-colonization in the game, and it deals heavily with racism in a lot of different regards, especially from the ethno-nationalist standpoint, particularly from the Thalmor and the Stormcloaks, but we'll get into that. Okay. I think that's subjective. First of all, what do you mean by look fine? Okay, so I just booted up my level 87 Skyrim character. Let's do show race menu. This is my high elf. When you normally load up Skyrim is per this, lady's video, you start as a Nord, and this is the default. It's basically fucking Roblox. Blonde hair, blue-eyed Northman. Whatever. Now, is it definitely a choice to have the blonde-haired, blue-eyed white man as the default for it? I guess. But to say that, none of the other creators, even like the stock ones, look good is ludicrous. Like long dark hair, facial hair, but that's daddy. Like what? Like I don't know what you want. And this is just the men we're talking about. If we swap to women, we have the women look really, really good too. And I also want to remind you that this is an up-res game. I'm playing the anniversary edition, right? This is an up-res game from 2012. The models are gonna be dog water. This game came out in 2011. Skyrim, was a pretty enough game, but it wasn't lauded for its graphics. They sacrificed an entire fight pit in Windhelm just to spend more time on the models for what? But that's a rant for another video. So I don't think that's the best argument personally. I think that is more of just a personal aesthetic choice. I think the dark elf women are bad as shit, but I don't know. It's whatever. They all look janky. The models are from 2011. And this is from a studio that doesn't have a reputation for having the best looking games. They have their reputation is built in, hey, here's a world that doesn't exist, but we made exist. Go get lost in it. Even one of their more their more mediocre ones, like Starfield, when I wasn't having to engage with the fast traveling systems, and I was just talking and doing quests locally on planets, it felt really fucking good. Bethesda makes worlds that you want to exist in. They're not pretty games. I just want to say that even even for 2011, like I showed you guys every single race. While maybe the Argonians leave a little to be desired, the Khajiits look good, the high elves look good, the dark elves look really good, the orcs look really good, the Imperials, the Bretons probably could use a little more love if I'm being honest, and some of the models, the default models for the Nords probably could use some more love too. But I don't know that like just because the white people like look. I don't even think I agree that they look bad. I think I think her whole point here is it's subjective. Like this first point is just subjective. I'm sorry. Not anymore, by the way, for everybody who play on console. Alternative Start Live Another Life is an excellent choice if you don't want to go through that anymore. Random Alternative Start is a little more risky because you can end up in a fucking bottom of a Dwarven Ruin at level 1, but definitely something to consider. Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay. I just want to say for the record, it's only who you escape with. You do get some more unique dialogue, and you actually do get to see both Hadvar and Roloff later in the campaign if you side with the same side in the Civil War that you escaped with. But it's kind of not worth it. I did the Stormcloak run originally as my first run, because I sided with Roloff, and Roloff seemed like cool people, and I liked Gerda and her family, and they all seemed chill. And he just kind of becomes a dick a little bit to you because like he feels like you're hogging all the glory. So I don't know, it's weird. Hadvar is just chilling. He's just like, oh, it's good to see you. Here's the orders. Let's give them whatever. I mean, the officer armor, yes, and definitely unique, but um, I don't know if I would say that. Again, this is subjective. This is this is subjective. Now, I don't disagree with her kind of like jockeying to have you like be more interested in the Imperials. Like in the Stormcloaks over the Imperials, because like that, you know, that's obviously very true, but I don't know if the armor thing is. I think that's also subjective. You got to remember that the Stormcloak armor is literally just the Windhelm guard armor. You know, you can if you do you like the armor but you want it in red, go kill a Solitude guard. You know. I do want to take honors with that. The main quest, the Civil War storyline on both sides, not fleshed out. There was a significant amount of content cut from that. If you actually go to Markarth, there's little slits and an empty hallway on the exterior of the city that was eventually going to be where archers were going to shoot stuff out during sieges. Like there was going to be an entire sub game within Skyrim where there would be an ebb and flow and push and pull for territory, and it just you know it just didn't happen, unfortunately. For those that would like to have a better Civil War overhaul, the Civil War overhaul Redux mod over on Nexus is really good. There was a Civil War mod from years and years ago that got taken down because of in protest of the 2016 election and stuff like that, which I can understand. Regardless, I miss it though. It's a good one. There's plenty of mods out there to make the Civil War better. It just it was the most script heavy and buggy part of the game, which why so much of it was cut. This is not the case. If you go to Windhelm, the first thing you see is the citizenry going up to a random dark elf, two drunk Nords going up to a dark elven woman and saying, "You dark elves are a waste of space. You eat our food, you pollute our city with your stinking, you refuse to help the Stormcloaks." She says, "It's not our war," and you think at this point, and then they keep like talking shit about her, saying, "Maybe I should go and do something to you." Like, they're just being like racist, misogynistic assholes, and you can go up and beat the dog piss out of them, justifiably. Windhelm is steeped in that type of bigotry. You have Skyrim is for the Nords. That is by itself a xenophobic thing. There's they hit you over the head with a pan with it. Like, if it really takes you until I don't know, the Siege of Solitude to pick up the fact that the Stormcloak Rebellion, the Stormcloak Rebellion Revolution, whatever you want to call it, is steeped in xenophobia, bigotry, and fear and hatred towards the other. Like, I don't know what to tell you, dog. Like, it's pretty fucking blatant. They didn't. They was that apparent in at Haugen? No, but if you play the game at all and listen to and you go to any part of Skyrim and listen to the most ardent supporters of the Stormcloaks, they are racist pieces of shit. Now, granted, they're justifiably angry at the suppression at the genocide being the potential genocide being perpetrated by the Thalmor here, who have but make no mistake, the Thalmor want ethno-nationalism for elves, and are invading other places to do that type of imperialism. But the Stormcloaks' beliefs are rooted in the same thing, and yeah, they'll let other people and other races into their ranks as of now. Theoretically, since you as a Dragonborn of any race can join them, but just because somebody's on the back foot and is technically the defender in this situation does not excuse what the fuck they're gonna do. You know what I mean? If the roles were reversed, the Stormcloaks and the Nords would do the exact same thing if they thought that their right to ethnically cleanse Tamriel was justified. Ethno-nationalism is bad whether or not you're the aggressor or the defendee on the situation. Yes, you did. You see them before you go join the Stormcloaks. No, you're not going to get any sort of punishment for behavior because, again, the Stormcloaks are racist, and they tell you outside of the main story, they tell you at every single opportunity. Yeah, because they're tools. The Imperials are bureaucrats and shit. They're boring. That's part of their characterization as a peoples. The thing that was interesting, the reason why Cyrodiil felt so vibrant in Oblivion was because it was the melting pot of the Empire. Everybody from all over the realms settled in Cyrodiil because it was the heart of the Empire. The Imperials are Bean County bureaucratic, type a type of culture. That This is again subjective. I happen to really like the Imperial route. I don't think it's any more verbose than the Stormcloak route is, if I'm being perfectly honest. I would say that in some cases it's even more so because um seeing Jarl Balgriff the Greater give a war speech to defend Whiterun, it was a very empowering moment. And I think that there's a lot of subjectivity here and personal opinion that I don't think is necessarily borne out by the lore and the actual facts of the world. I don't necessarily disagree with that statement. I do think that they very much do push you to aesthetically, at the surface level, pick the Stormcloaks. Granted, if you if you're somebody that will pick up on the prejudice present in the Stormcloak movement, off rip, you're not gonna pick them because something doesn't smell right? But the Imperials do. Solitude is just more boring than Windhelm. They have the house you get in Windhelm is better. The characters and the dynamics are interesting. You start Brotherhood quest line there. It's just Solitude just feels design wise more sterile than Windhelm. Windhelm feels cooler, and I think that is again a subjective opinion from my side. But at the end of the day, I do see what I do. I can't understand how someone would think that someone push you towards the Stormcloak side of things. It makes sense, but I don't think that necessarily is I think that is more of a condemnation of poor writing on Bethesda's part rather than the Skyrim being about pushing a racist prejudice narrative, which it absolutely deals with those themes in good ways, bad ways, and mediocre ways. But I think it all comes down to personal perception. So here's the thing, right? The Elder Scrolls world is the world of the Elder Scrolls. Tamriel, Nirn, Nirn being the planet that this takes place, the games take place on. Tamriel being the continent that the games takes place on, is a place with tens of thousands of years of history, with everybody being aggressive and diplomatic and kind and mean and genocidal towards everybody else. When you have that type of history, yes, there is going to be tension, and especially when you have cultures and peoples that very much are able to have children with one another and can do that. They are still very much culturally different. There is the one thing I will say is that the presence of racism and bigotry in a game does not necessarily make it racist or bigoted. Now, if the writers paint that racism and bigotry as a positive thing, that is a problem. That if there's a reason why the Stormcloaks feel bad. There's people who love the Stormcloaks and My Blood for the North and yell that unironically. It's because either they do in the back of their head, there's a part of them that does agree with those ethno-nationalist notions, or they don't, or they aren't to use a lack of a term, woke enough to they aren't learned enough to pick up on that. They in that regard. So I don't necessarily think that the presence of racism, which is, by the way, by and large, never portrayed as a good thing, and the people who are kind of xenophobic generally are not looked at as liked characters. There's a reason why, you're able to beat the dog shit out of that drunk that was harassing that dark elven woman at a later date. So, yeah. So, I'm going to refute that because if you do, read listen to dialogue and do read some of the books like in your off time of context of the war and stuff. I just want to see if she says anything after this as a follow up, and then I will refute it. Okay, so she mentioned the Thalmor, right? They said she says the Thalmor are supposed to enforce it, but you don't actually see them. So there is a difference between seeing shit happening in game and being told it's happening in the world broadly. So yes, I kill every fucking Thalmor patrol I see because fuck Nazis, right? And here's my thing. I've done multiple videos on this talking about like the Thalmor belief system and why they are the big bad and that they are effectively the colonizing other side of the coin, just the colonized version. The Stormcloaks are the colonized, the Thalmor are the colonizers, but they essentially have like the same ideology, and all that. You have to remember that I don't know if she did, the Thalmor embassy and read the dossiers and like listen to what people were talking about. The Thalmor, there's a quest you do in Markarth where one of the top what's it called? One of the top what are they called? Advisors for the Jarl of Markarth is a Talos worshiper, and a Thalmor goon who's walking around Markarth in his patrol says, "Hey, if you can give me some proof that this person's a Talos worshiper, I'll give you some gold." And you do that, and guess what? He gets disappeared, because that's what the Thalmor does. They don't walk around and do it, because like if they just walked into a town and just took somebody in broad daylight, that's how they get beaten to death by the townsfolk. What they do is they sneak in the middle of night, kidnap people, and spirit them away to the Thalmor embassy, and either put them in prison in places like Northwatch Keep, where you find one of the Greymane's sons who was a Talos worshiper, or they just outright fucking kill them. So it's very much a secret police type of thing. And here's the thing. To her point, where she was saying earlier, like, oh, it's like speeding. As long as you don't get caught doing it, you're fine. Like, back in, like, if you actually, like, if you go with Hadvar, right, with the Imperials, and you talk to his uncle, the blacksmith in Riverwood, Alvor, I think his name is, he'll tell you that, like, back before Ulfric's rebellion, we all just had our little shrines to Talos in our homes and would pray in private, and nobody was harping down their necks about it. And then the Markarth incident happened, where for 10 years the Forsworn had control over Markarth, which is for all intents and purposes objectively their former homeland. And when Ulfric Stormcloak came through and took the city back from them, he instituted Talos worship. This is after the White Gold Concordat, which was basically like World War II for World War One for their for the folks of the Empire and the Aldmeri Dominion, and then the Aldmeri Dominion, angry at this, like was using this as a wedge to sort of like instigate war. Remember that millions died on both sides of that war. It was very comparable to like World War One, World War Two in terms of death. And what ended up happening is, the Imperials came in, locked his ass up, and Thalmor started utilizing the clause that they had to, police Talos worship in the Empire, which they started actually doing in Skyrim at the Thalmor embassy. So you might be wondering, why are the Thalmor able to police Talos worship outside of their borders? The reason why for that is because the Thalmor were the war was basically like everybody was like dying, and what basically ended up happening is that both like with war of attrition, the Thalmor would have won over like years more, but it would have cost both groups their populations. And they basically, the Thalmor, knowing that they technically would have won if they came in, they decided to like, hey, yeah, we'll come to the table, but they were able to get a lot of concessions out of the Imperials. That includes huge swaths of territory like Hammerfell, like the southern half of Hammerfell, the Alakir Desert, the most sacred part of Hammerfell, mind you. That also includes, I believe, huge like concessions in terms of like territory, huge concessions in terms of like the Band of Talos and things of that nature. And it really does kind of come down to the geopolitics here. So the reason why and this is also why the Empire is not necessarily able to quash the Stormcloak Rebellion is because they're only able, I think it was either in a note from the Emperor to Tullius, or Tullius said it explicitly during the Stormcloak campaign, that most of the Empire's forces are coalesced around the borders of Elsewhere, Valenwood, and Hammerfell. The huge entire swath of the southern border in anticipation for the next Great War, because everybody knows the next Great War is coming. Nobody's pretending otherwise. And because the next Great War is around the horizon, World War II is around the horizon at, years after World War One, 15 years after World War One, there's really not a lot of like troops available for the Empire to really use. There's a reason why they are doing so much local recruitment, and they are focusing so heavily on local recruitment, which is not something that the Legion typically did. They don't really recruit in a war zone, So, by and large, the idea that Thalmor are not a big deal is kind of ludicrous. But yeah. So I want to be very clear that yes, I want to be clear that like I don't think for you to be able to talk on this, you should have had to have played the other games and stuff. That's fair. But to folks that think that Talos was not a god, the reason why we can say without a doubt he was because during the events of The Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion, to be able to basically make a portal to get to like the second to last big bad in the game, you basically need a few different items. One to be able to make the regions for this portal. One of them is the blood of a god, and to get that, we needed to get to get the blood of a god, which we went to the Tomb of Sancretor. The Tomb of Sancretor is the place where Tiber Septim is entombed. Tiber Septim being the god of man. He is the Talos. Talos was his Nordish name. Tiber Septim being the start of the Septim dynasty, who started like a dynasty, the entirety of the Third Era, which was thousands of years, which was like 1,000 years, and he was raised to godhood as the successor of the original god of man, Lorkhan. Thalmor do not like this. And here's the thing: when he used his blood, it worked. So it kind of is a indicator that he did turn into a god. The Thalmor don't like this because they are elvish supremacists. The high elves are descendants of the Aldmeri, which were originally inhabitants of Aetherius, which is basically the plane of the gods. And they were given the boot for a myriad of different reasons and lost their immortality. And because the elves and elvish society and Thalmor in particular are very they view mankind as rodents and beneath them, the idea that a man could become a god when they have been trying, as a society have different ways of trying to get back to Aetherius, haven't been able to, is kind of like a spit in the face to their elvish supremacist views. And so they just, because it's like the reality of shit makes me have to rethink my worldview and critically think, so I'm just going to destroy this, is kind of like what's going on here, right? It's like when a right-wing Christian person hears some shit that might discombobulate their worldview or whatever, and they kind of just I'm going to destroy this and destroy this person for mentioning it because I cannot, because my cognitive dissonance is too strong. It's like one of those things. They absolutely are super enforcing the ban on their religion. In Imperial territory, the Thalmor are absolutely spiriting away people in the middle of the night, and they are doing the same thing in Stormcloak territory, just with a lot less authority. So to be clear, they that is kind of the end goal of the Stormcloaks. Yes, they are definitely more of a coalition now because there is the ever-present threat of attacks from Thalmor and more accurately the Imperials. But all ethnocentric ideologies eventually have to condense and have more and more other, because it's not about what you are, it's about what you aren't. So that's what will eventually happen. It's not going to happen immediately, but it will. If Ulfric became High King of Skyrim, that absolutely will eventually happen. Well, no. Here's the thing. There actually is religious persecution going against Talos worship in the Elder Scrolls in Skyrim. In the real world, there isn't religious persecution going against Christians. They just have a fucking victim complex. It's all about politics. True. Yeah. This is Skyrim. This is Cyrodiil, the heartland of the Empire. This is Hammerfell. Remember, the Aldmeri Dominion owns the southern half of the Empire, so approximately from here to here. High Rock, and if they do share a border, it would probably be a little sliver about right here. He said that Skyrim is in between the Empire and the Aldmeri Dominion. The Aldmeri Dominion, the heartland of their empire, is here, the Somerset Isles. It's Valenwood elsewhere. The southern half of Hammerfell. Morrowind and Blackmarsh are independent. Morrowind because they basically secured their own dominion after defending themselves from these Oblivion Crisis after the Empire was fucking useless during that, and Black Marsh because nobody has ever really been able to technically claim Black Marsh because it is the Hiss and the Argonians will fuck you up. Wow, that is So I want to be very clear that I wanted to make this video from the prospect of I wanted to people were being really shitty to this person, and like some of the guys were being like kind of fucking sexist about it too, and I wanted to approach it from that. But I know, and when I say this, I want to be very clear. I don't think this person knows enough of what they're talking about, and that's okay because not everybody. I don't expect everybody to be a lore nerd like me, but fuck, dude, like this is like Hammerfell, like it's up in ours whether the rebellion in Hammerfell is being successful or not. So like, even if they do control like the southern half resolutely, there's still like it's still not in between the two. Jesus Christ. So that part's actually true. Skyrim is the connective is the connective tissue between High Rock and Cyrodiil. If it does go, it makes there's now it basically breaks imperial strength. It basically cuts the empire in two, essentially. So that part's actually true. Nords have always been racist. Like, country ass folk are racist everywhere the fuck you go. You know who's not racist? Folks that live in cities. The rural urban divide is very real in Tamriel. Yes, that I actually agree with that wholeheartedly. The Stormcloaks are Ulfric Stormcloak is a whiny little bitch, and he is someone who just wants power. That is objectively correct. I don't disagree with that at all. No. Talos is an actual god. It has been proven. Like, he is like Talos has been like the primary god of like as like this is a polytheistic society, right? But like there's some gods that are more prominent than others. Talos has been the prominent god for the Nordic people because if one of the gods was originally immortal and was immortal of your culture and species or in race or species or whatever, of course you're going to fucking worship them. You know, like, come on. Again, that's subjective. That's true. You don't start the Civil War questline there. You don't. You know, it's just one of the early ways that they offer a level of choice to you. Oh my god. Black Reach fun. That is subjective too. Skyrim games. So there's a lot there at the end. Like again, the themes of colonialism and the themes of racism are present in the game, but it's commentary. It's commentary. So you have to like Skyrim has been colonized by the Imperials since the founding of the Septim Dynasty for 1,000 years at least. Skyrim has been a part of the Empire. Like Skyrim was like Skyrim, like the people of Skyrim, whether they are the Nords, whether they are the Courseborn, have been arguably more of an influence on the Empire. With when you consider things like the Longhouse Emperors from the Second Era, or the Septim Dynasty from that, or even the Underking. At the end of the day, like Skyrim has been a part of the Empire and has been under the Empire's thumb in lots of different forms for millennia, just like every province. The Imperials are colonialists. Your choice here, like, there is no democracy, there is no freedom of the people. There is, like, this is a medieval thing. Like, this is the Imperials are colonialist, like, and like being juxtaposed against ethno nationalists. While yes, the Imperials are absolutely colonialists, what they are not is ethno nationalists. They are a melting pot, and at the end of the day, it's like it's uh like the themes of this game, like because there's no like, oh, this is like a liberal democracy and all of this. There's no option for that. Like you have to have difficult conversations with yourself when dealing with the themes of the Elder Scrolls Skyrim that really do pertain to lesser of two evils types of things. Like this is, it's not, this isn't going to be like fucking Disco Elysium or even like fucking, I don't know, it's something like CD Projekt Red. Like at the end of the day, it's like there is no clear cut you're a good guy answer like in Fallout. It's just it's war in politics, and you're just a person who has been chosen to fucking deal with shit bigger than all of that. And the things, and when are done killing Alduin and you come back down to center and everything, you have to deal with really difficult, complex questions of yes, colonialism is bad, and but is it going to be worse in this case than the ethno nationalists that are fighting against this? It's I I've been charitable because I didn't, a lot of people have been like kind of degrading this woman's intelligence, but it's she just I think she might have just played Skyrim, and even if she did, I don't think she read some of the in lore book materials and stuff when she made the like with this video, because there's a lot just in Skyrim alone that will disprove a lot of the things she said. Also, I understand that like you might think that the white men look better in the character creator. I patently disagree. I think no, I don't like playing as Nords because I don't think they look particularly interesting as characters to play, or even attractive for that matter. And if like that like, um, elven women stay winning, I guess. Whatever. I don't know, but I just it just to me, I she didn't deserve the amount of like vitriol going her way, but like I really wish that she would either play other Elder Scrolls games or do like a unofficial Elder Scrolls pages like lore go through, because there's a lot of pieces missing here and a lot of this is subjective. But yeah, that's the video. I got 45 minutes out of a 6-minute video. Jesus Christ. Thank y'all so much for watching. I appreciate you, your time, and your viewership. Please consider supporting the show at HIMedia.gg, and I'll see you guys next time. Doodles.